Hey everybody, this is Dan with Pain Free You. Today I wanted to talk about this. I want to simplify the whole process of getting better. So this video is going to be called 4 Steps to Recovery from Perceived Danger Pain, also known as TMS. It's also known as a number of things, neuroplastic pain, all that kind of stuff. So, before I get into it, relax. Breathe in the accurate knowledge. Exhale the doubt. Breathe in the confidence. Exhale the fear. All right, so 4 steps to recovery from perceived danger symptoms, we'll say. Number 1 is understand. You need to understand what's going on, right? Because if you don't know what's going on and what causes symptoms, it's going to be really tough to get farther down the line and recover completely, right? There's this concept called mind-body symptoms, meaning symptoms coming from the brain, as opposed to a physical body issue. And now because the brain is the central control of the entire human system, if the brain is terrified or fearful or perceives a danger, it's going to turn on some alarms or alarms. And in some cases, the perceived danger is actual, and those alarms are well needed. But in the case of chronic pain or chronic symptoms, it's oftentimes that the perception of danger has become chronic, and therefore the symptoms stay on. I don't want to use the word stuck because that's not true. They're not stuck, they're just turned on. And so far, the brain has not been convinced to turn them off. So that's the task at hand, is to teach the brain to turn them off. So step 1 is understanding this system. I talk about perceived danger as the cause of all symptoms. The very first video of my fast start is introducing perceived danger, pain, and symptoms. And I go into it at length there. I'm not going to reiterate everything about the topic. But basically, when the brain is perceiving danger, it will turn on an alarm called a symptom. And if we want to have the brain turn it off, we have to counteract or neutralize the brain's perception of danger. In the case of chronic symptoms, it's almost always a misperception, a false belief that there's something bad going on. So, step 1, understand how the system works. Step 2 is assess, which is basically, does this stuff apply to me? Or do I have a quote-unquote real problem, right? A lot of people say, but I've got a real problem. I have this on my MRI or that on my whatever, x-rays. And my doctor told me, and my doctor told me, and my doctor told me. So I've got something real going on. This stuff doesn't apply to me. So I will tell you that MRIs and imaging studies, there's actually a term that's called VOMIT, victim of medical imaging technology. VOMIT, right? And a lot of times the medical imaging is so highly, high definition that you can see all sorts of stuff. And in many cases, look, in disease cases, looking for tumors, if you fell and you think there might be a fracture, imaging technology is wonderful. But in the vast majority of chronic symptoms, the imaging finds a whole bunch of really high definition stuff that's irrelevant. Because what you see on an MRI or an X-ray or a CAT scan or ultrasound is not always proof of the cause of the symptoms. If the brain perceives there to be a problem, it's going to turn on an alarm system. And if your symptoms have been on for a while, it's most likely a false alarm because the body heals. You had an injury and you still have pain, 3, 6, 12 months later, the brain has learned to keep that pain going, has learned to keep it on, right? So assessing how your symptoms are behaving is the way we do this, right? Because symptoms from a bodily injury or a bodily flaw or problem, they behave much differently than TMS, perceived danger symptoms. There's a whole host of variables, a whole host of characteristics of symptoms that you can assess and say, does this make sense to me for my situation? How do my symptoms behave? And inevitably, most people are going to find that, yep, this is what's going on for me. So the assessments are at this link, isthispdp.com. So type that into your internet browser, isthispdp.com. I'll try to put the link below in the description. Isthispdp.com. Do the assessments, both of them. If you have pain, take the pain test. If you have something else going on, do the next one, which is a bunch of questions on the page. If you get one or more true answer, then your brain is creating the symptoms based on the perception of danger. That's wonderful news. Not bad news, wonderful news, because that means your brain's creating the symptoms and you can teach it to turn them off, right? So understand, the first video in the Fast Start playlist, dansfaststart.com, will help you understand how this system called the human body, brain, pain, symptoms all function. Assess, that's step 2. Does this apply to me? Do the assessments, right? It's really important. And here's the deal. Step 3. If the assessments say it's a mind-body condition, step 3 is to accept that as your cause of symptoms. Because I have people that say, oh yeah, I scored real high, but I just can't believe it. I just can't believe it because symptoms seem so real, or I see something, or I hear something, and it must be physical. No. If your symptoms are behaving like a mind-body condition, that's what it is. And some people will fight me and push back and be, it can't be, it can't be, it can't be. And I'm like, why are you arguing to prove that you're broken? I'm not going to buy it. The assessments say what they say. Now look, there are some people who are kind of borderline on the assessments, and they go, oh no, it's borderline, what do I do? Do the work anyway, right? The more fear and the more attention, the more panicked you are, the more consistent your symptoms are going to show up. And sometimes that doesn't allow it to score so great on these assessments. But look, there's zero downside and only benefit to teaching your brain that you're okay. Because when the brain believes that you're safe, symptoms are going to settle down. That's a wonderful thing, and it happens all the time. So, number 1, understand. Number 2, assess. Number 3, accept that this is what's going on. Because without that acceptance, you're always going to stay on the fence, straddling the fence. Maybe it's real, maybe it's TMS, maybe it's real, I don't know. Is my brain creating it? Yeah, but it feels this, it feels that. I can't believe it. My brain keeps on telling me it's real. Yes, symptoms feel real. They all do, because the symptoms are real. Nothing here is imagined. You're not making this up. You're not crazy. Your symptoms are real, and they can be really difficult. So even though the symptoms are real, the danger, the threat, is what is misperceived. It's a misinterpretation of what's going on by a brain that's always looking out for you, always looking out for danger. And if it finds danger, it's going to turn on a symptom. And if we respond to that with fear and panic and worry and attention, we're teaching the brain, yep, you're right, there is danger. But if you respond to symptoms and pain with, I know what that is, I'm not concerned. Just my overprotective brain. Thanks, brain. Hey, but this, you know what? It's really okay. I don't need this pain. Because there's nothing wrong with me. And here's why. Because I've studied, I've learned how this system works. I've done the assessments. They've come out as a mind-body condition. Bonus. And I've accepted that as my truth, right? Now, the fourth element in this 4 steps is teach. What the heck do I mean about that? Teach your scared brain not to be so scared. Teach your brain that you're okay, that this is all temporary. It's a false alarm. I'm really okay. We want to teach our brain. This is not healing. I mean, there are some things that might heal along the way. Gut issues, immune system issues, that kind of stuff. But overall, we're not trying to heal anything because we can't heal on purpose. Teaching and consistent messages of I'm okay, I'm safe, allows our brain to settle down and get out of the way so the body can take care of itself, because the body really does know what to do. The body is a healing machine. It knows what to do. We don't need to be involved. And certainly panic and fear and worry and catastrophic thinking and despair and frustration and anger and all that stuff does not need to be involved. The body knows how to heal. But guess what? All of those negative thoughts and fears and everything else, all that does is walk around turning on the alarm systems over and over and over and over again. And so if your response to your symptoms is fear, frustration, panic, worry, freak out, despair, don't be surprised that the symptoms are sticking around, because that response is actually what's saying to the brain, we're in trouble. Whatever you do, don't turn those alarms off, because we are in trouble. Super important, folks. Let me go through the 4 again. Understand, assess, accept, huge, accept, and then teach. And look, if you want a full-blown understanding of this, I have my Fast Start playlist of videos. They are free videos on YouTube, but I've organized them in such a way that it makes sense and will help you go through these 4 steps. They're not defined as step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, but keeping these steps in mind, you'll see how the Fast Start playlist will walk you through this. First video, what's going on? How does this stuff work? Third video is, figuring out, does this apply to me? And then a bunch of videos on how to teach. Teach your brain you're safe mentally, emotionally, physically. Treat yourself with kindness, love, care. Don't beat the crap out of yourself. That's perceived as danger. Treat yourself with some compassion, kindness, And sometimes I'll say, self-love. And a lot of people are like, self-love? I don't even like myself. How am I supposed to love myself? Okay, make believe. Treat yourself as if you are somebody you are responsible for caring for. Because guess what? You are. You're not responsible for beating yourself up and telling yourself you're a loser and you can't do this and you're not capable and you're too weak or you're too anxious. You're not good enough. That's not your job. That's not your job. Your job is to care for yourself first and foremost. Treat yourself as if you care about yourself. If you hate yourself, start working on it. You're going to notice that when you start to care for yourself, your brain's going to start feeling a little bit safer each day. It's a practice. It's not a light switch. But seriously, if you're constantly berating yourself and judging yourself and criticizing yourself, that's a tough place to recover from. So that's one of the ways that we can create safety, is by treating ourselves well, as if we matter, because we do. You matter. You matter. How do we respond to symptoms? That's another huge opportunity to convey safety to the brain. I was just saying it earlier. Don't panic. Don't freak, because the brain's watching. We want to respond as calmly with reassurance as possible. And if you think walking around saying I'm safe 85 times a day is the answer, that's not it. If you're going to use the words I'm safe, do I'm safe because, and then walk your own brain through this 4-step process, because I understand the system. It applies to me. I've accepted that. Now I'm teaching my brain that I'm okay in the way I think, act, behave, respond to symptoms. And also, by directing my attention towards something else in life, engaging my brain in something else besides fixing myself and the symptoms. Because fear and attention keep symptoms going. Teach yourself with all this accurate knowledge that you're not in danger. And when the fear starts to come down, you'll be able to shift your attention back to doing normal things more often. And so, we are teaching here. And like anything that we are learning, it does take some time. But in learning anything, consistency totally matters. You know, if you were trying to learn, let's say, a foreign language, for example, and you got one of those fancy applications for your phone that's going to teach you how to speak the language, but you only practice it once every 2 weeks, or, once a week. But then you did nothing, didn't even think about it for the rest of the week or the rest of the 2 weeks. How fast do you think you're going to learn that? You're not. Now, I'm not saying you got to spend 18 hours a day doing this stuff all day. Your consistent response to symptoms, calm, reassuring, is more powerful than anything here, folks. Saying a phrase, "I'm safe," over and over again is not the cure. Going around and doing all sorts of normal stuff while being terrified is not the solution. I'm laying it all out here, right? Convey safety in the ways that we experience the world, mentally, emotionally, physically. Treat yourself well. Respond to the pains or symptoms as calmly, with as much clarity that you're okay as possible. Shift your attention back towards living life. Smile, find some joy. This is not rocket science, folks. We have a brain that's scared. And if you were to ask yourself, how would I convey to a scared child that they're okay? Calm, reassurance, soft, soothing voice. You can do this. Let's look at the facts here. Come on, honey. You're really not broken. How do we know? We study it. We understand it. We've done the assessments. It's what's going on for us, right? And I've accepted that. And honestly, accepting that this is the only thing going on, I hope it isn't scary to you. That should give you freedom to know, holy crap, I'm really okay. So, I'm going to wrap it up here with the 4 steps once again. Understand, assess, accept, and teach. That's what's going on. So, hope you're all doing well. Love you. And as usual, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care.